Localization is hard to get right. And one of the aspects most companies struggle with is getting the right amount of context. Getting the right context is going to determine just how fast you can actually produce translations, and it's also going to determine the quality of those translations when they come out. So if you're a very big company with the luxury of having plenty of resources and time, there's a chance you've built some sort of advanced workflow to help you with this. For example, I believe Netflix has an in-house tool that uses screenshots to provide them with as much context as possible. But for everyone else, we now have a solution at Crowdin that we think solves the context problem, and this is called screen translations. And as you can probably guess from the name, this is all about translating screenshots instead of pieces of string. And we think this is going to provide you with the maximum context possible when doing the translations and making the whole process a lot faster. And the best thing of all, the majority of features that make this possible already exist within Crowdin, but there is one new setting that's going to change the perspective of the translations, and that's what makes all of this possible. So I think that's enough of an introduction. Let's jump right into the demo and see how this all works. So I'm just going to head over to crowdin.com and I'm going to go through the usual flow of creating a new project. This is going to be mostly the default options. I am going to add French and Italian as the languages, and I'm going to hit create project. So in terms of the source files, I have a translations CSV here, which just has some keys and the default English values. So I'm just going to drag that in here, and I'm going to head over to configure. I've got the key on the left hand side and I'm going to choose source on the right hand side. I'm going to select these options here and I'm going to add the columns for French and Italian, save and import. So now we can see we have our file and this has just got 17 keys. The next thing we're going to do here is we're going to head over to screenshots. Now to make use of this new way of translating, we're going to make sure that our screenshots are done very well. We're going to make sure all the names for all the screenshots that we bring in are user friendly, and we're going to make sure that we tag all the labels and all the strings in the screenshots so that we have all 17 strings matching. So I'm going to go in here and rename some of these. I think that's okay. And I'm just going to select auto tag for one of them just so we can see that in place. So let's go to the menu options and I'm going to hit auto tag here, and we can see that's automatically tagged 14 of the strings. I'm going to go into the dashboard one just to show you how to do the remaining ones manually if you need to. So I'm going to go over to the top right, click the strings, and I know in here that I have one for dashboard here. That's going to automatically recognize the dashboard one for the Go editor, and the final one for the search languages text right here. I'm going to hit save, and that should be all 17 strings done. Now again, it's definitely worth emphasizing that you're going to want to put as many screenshots as possible. This is the thing that's going to provide all the context and make sure that everything is tagged. So at this point, we've not introduced anything new. A linguist can go over to the dashboard, pick the languages and translate the files as normal. But what we are going to do is we're going to turn on one special setting. And if we head over to the settings tab, we're going to see this new option, which is currently in beta. And the default here is the standard files approach. So this is the thing that we're used to seeing where we're translating from files. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on the third option here, which is show screenshots only. So as I mentioned before, this takes the focus away from the files and puts them all on the screenshots. So if we now head back over to the dashboard and let's click into French, instead of seeing the string files, we're going to see all the screenshots that we've added. So immediately you can see how we're already providing context before we've even started translating. So let's head into one of these. Let's go into the dashboard page and see how that looks. So we have the familiar editor here, but again, we have the full context of the screen on the left-hand side. I'm just going to use the AI assistant to go through this. So I'm going to start off with dashboard. I'm going to hit save, next one, save, and the final one on this page, and save. So I'm going to go back out into the main page, and we can see that we've translated the full dashboard page. And now, of course, any linguist can then move on to the other pages. And that's everything that I wanted to show in terms of the demo. Hopefully you can see that this small change in perspective from the translator's point of view is going to have a big impact when it comes to context and when it comes to the speed of the process. Of course, I've done a fair few things here manually, but if you use the SDKs, the APIs available, you can see how everything can be automated to upload the screenshots, the translations, and then using AI and the memory translations, you can kind of just click through and have everything flow quite nicely. So there's a final couple of things worth mentioning. It's definitely worth informing the linguist that there's a slight change in the app when it comes to translations. Most people are used to translating strings or files, and they're not used to having all this context up ahead of time. So it's definitely worth just mentioning the slight change in perspective. And finally, you may be wondering what the difference is between this screen translations and the in-context tool. They both have their advantages, but with the in-context tool, it does mean that somebody needs to learn your application, learn how to navigate it, and there's a chance that they might miss certain strings. And there's also, of course, the benefit of being able to add mock-ups and designs ahead of time before building building the actual application, which you would need in the in-context tool. So I think that's everything I wanted to cover in this video. This really does go to show that sometimes the small changes in perspective can really have a big impact. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below or reach out. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day, and I will see you in the next one.